Some of these cruise tips definitely go against the grain. However, I'm willing to bet that if you follow some of these cruise tips, you are definitely going to save money and have a better cruise. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, we've been on over 35 cruises and I've used a lot of these cruise tips myself. However, something that I don't talk about much is I have worked in the cruise industry in the past. Yes, part-time, I used to sell cruises for a very large brand. And through that, I got to know a lot of the insider tips about, well, really how to book a cruise and how to have the best experience on a cruise. And in this video, I'm going to share some cruise tips that honestly, not all of them are going to be for everyone. But many of these cruise tips do go against the grain and popular opinion. But I am willing to bet that some of these are going to work for you. Now, before I get started, I wanted to mention two things. Firstly, it's absolutely okay to disagree with any of these cruise tips. Like I mentioned, these are not going to be one size fits all. And secondly, if you find this video helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number one, book an inside cabin. Now, I happen to really like a balcony cabin, so if you love that, absolutely keep doing that. But I do think the reality is there are some times where booking an inside cabin just makes sense and it might be the best decision for you. In some of those cases, it really does go beyond the cost savings. So for instance, if you have a short cruise and you probably will not use your balcony very much, honestly, the cost savings are probably worth it to just book the inside cabin. Now, the other case is if you have a very long cruise, and the reason for that is because, well, of course, you are going to enjoy that balcony, but the cost savings can be substantial. The reality is many people do prefer a balcony cabin, and that makes sometimes the cost of a balcony cabin be actually double the cost of an inside cabin. And honestly, most of the time, the best cost-saving, money-saving cruise tip that I can share with you is still to book that interior cabin. Now, by the way, the added benefit of booking an inside cabin is most people that do book inside cabins say that they actually sleep so well on a cruise. Now, if you do book an inside cabin or if you've ever thought about it, please let me know down in the comments below. Number two, book an older cruise ship. Yes, stay away from those new cruise ships. Now, it's not because I don't love those new cruise ships, but honestly, older cruise ships just don't get a lot of love, but sometimes they can be the very best cruises. Now, not only can it be a good way to save money if you cruise on a cruise ship that's just a little bit older, even a cruise ship that's 2 to 5 years old, well, that is going to be significantly less expensive than the newest cruise ship. But something that I've noticed, you probably have noticed it too, is the newer cruise ships just don't have the best itineraries. So if itinerary and travel experience is a really big part of cruising for you, booking that older cruise ship is really going to give you that benefit and bang for your buck. Now, by the way, something that many people just don't talk about much, but when speaking with the crew, this is something that we've come to realize. The crew tell us that when they work together with the same team on a cruise ship year after year, a lot of times the same crew really do go back. They work more cohesively together. So that's another reason you'll find oftentimes on older cruise ships that you'll actually get a better service. Number three, don't cruise carry-on only. Now, I know this is really controversial because a lot of people like the idea of going on a vacation carry-on only. And if this is you, definitely keep doing this. However, I also know an equal amount of people really stress out about the idea of having to pack carry-on only or extremely light. Now, some people say, you know what, part of the enjoyment for me of going on vacation, going on a cruise is actually wearing a different outfit every night. You be you. So if that will give you enjoyment, you should definitely not pack carry-on only. Bring a checked bag. If you drive, obviously that's not even an issue when it comes to flying. But if you fly, just spend the money on a checked bag. After all, a cruise is expensive enough. And if that is going to help you to have a better cruise vacation and better cruise pictures, then so be it. After all, there is no trophy or prize for packing carry-on only. Number 4, eat in the cruise port of call. Now, this might not be the best money saving tip, but I do think it is a good way to experience the local cruise ports of call. Now, in some cruise ports of call, you can actually eat a little bit of the local cuisine. Ideally, you find something a little bit local. It's not always easy, but the nice thing is you also get to chat with some of the people that work in the restaurant, some of the local people, and it does give you a little bit more of an experience than simply going out, walking around, maybe shopping a little bit, doing an excursion, and heading back to eat in the cruise ship buffet. Now, please let me know, do you usually eat in the cruise ports of call, or do you prefer to head back onto the cruise ship? Please let me know down in the comments below. Number 5, don't be loyal to one cruise line. Now, there are some perks for being loyal to one cruise line. Laundry perks, beverage perks, but oftentimes those perks honestly come after spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And honestly, you can just pay for a little bit of laundry. It probably will cost you no more than $30 to $50 on a cruise. And in the meantime, you have the availability of many different promotions that you might be missing out on from different cruise lines. So I do think it's a nice thing to actually expand our horizons, cruise on different cruise lines. And I do have a little bit of an added benefit to this. One thing that I've noticed is by changing cruise lines a little bit, when I do go back to one of my favorite cruise lines, I actually appreciate it even more. So I do think that that is a little bit of an added benefit. Now, by the way, if you're planning a cruise and you're trying to get ready and keep organized, I do have the Lifewell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner. Now, the Lifewell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner is a 47-page downloadable printable cruise planner that you can print out to help you to keep organized from the time that you book your cruise all the way through disembarkation. Now, it includes cruise packing lists to help you to keep that under control, cruise outfit planning forms, shore excursion planning forms, budget tracking forms, and more. If you are interested in seeing what is included in the Lifewell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner, I'm going to leave all of the information linked down below in the description of this video in case you do want to check it out. Number 6, I hesitate to say this one because for some reason this has been seen as the most controversial cruise advice, but I definitely don't think it is. It is stay on the cruise ship sometimes when it's in port. So of course, this is not blanket advice. Don't stay on the cruise ship the entire cruise unless you cruise really very, very often and this is something that you want to do. But stay on the cruise ship sometimes when you're in port. And that is actually something that we have planned on a couple of upcoming cruises. I really wanted to, on a couple of days that we're in port, we have already been to those cruise ports of call. And I think my time is just really better spent on the cruise ship, enjoying the amenities of the cruise ship, maybe going to the spa, yes, getting one of those spa specials, and just enjoying that quieter cruise ship. Now, I know this is not advice that is going to suit everyone, but I do think doing that for at least one cruise port of call on a 7-night cruise or even on a longer cruise really does help to add to the enjoyment of a cruise. Number 7, eat in the buffet. Now, in the past, I really haven't been an absolute huge fan of buffets, but something that I have noticed is cruise ship buffets are actually getting better on the most part. There's one cruise line that I just don't think is getting better, but on the most part, I think that they're getting really good. And the buffets also, they're starting to have a lot more stations. And this is over the last few years. I like that because then you don't end up with those lineups. That's my pet peeve. I just absolutely hate lineups in cruise ship buffets. But with the quality of food getting better and with the fact that the lineups are getting better and there honestly is just so much variety to the food that sometimes it does make sense to eat in the buffet. Sometimes it could be during the day for lunch before heading out to a cruise port of call or even when you are on the ship on a sea day. But other times, even for dinner, if you want to have a more relaxed, casual night where everybody can pick and choose what they want or you want to eat a little bit more quickly, there are definitely times that it makes sense to check out the buffet. Now, please let me know. I am curious. Buffet, main dining room, please let me know down in the comments below. Don't follow all of the recommendations on the cruise line website. Now, take this one with a grain of salt. I know this is a little bit controversial, but what I mean is obviously follow the recommendations, the required documentation that you need, any of the items that you're prohibited from bringing on a cruise. Follow all of those recommendations, follow all of the rules, all of that, very important, everything that is on the cruise contract. But some things that I've noticed on cruise line websites that just aren't always representative of the experience of the cruise is actually the cruise line dress code. So oftentimes the cruise line dress codes, they could be a little bit outdated on some of the cruise line websites. So sometimes you'll see that a cruise line will recommend formal night and to wear tuxedos and ball gowns and evening gowns. And many people who've actually been on cruises say this is not actually the experience that they are seeing on board. So what I always recommend when it comes to things like that is actually watch YouTube videos, watch vlogs, read the reviews on Cruise Critic or read the reviews on Facebook, join Facebook groups and really get to know from the passenger perspective, what is it really like on the cruise ship? That will help you with your planning. Don't arrive late on embarkation day. Now I know people have different schools of thought on this. I've always been an early embarkation advocate, and honestly, for more and more reasons every time I cruise. But we had a cruise this summer that we did a late embarkation because we had an excursion in the morning. It was great. So we definitely enjoyed that. I probably would do it again. It was a tour in Barcelona. So there are occasions. But what I noticed is that we boarded around 2:00 p.m. Our sail away, if I'm not mistaken, was around 4. We were in a rush from the moment that we got on the cruise ship to do our e-muster, to eat lunch, and now our lunch was late. We were off schedule a little bit. I wanted to unpack a little bit. I just wanted to do some different things, do some filming, of course. We had a get together with some people, but we honestly felt so super rushed. Had I boarded around 11:30 or noon, I just would have had much more time. So in general, this is still the advice that I stick to. Arrive early on embarkation day. Use a travel agent. Now, I say this as somebody who doesn't even sell cruises, and I haven't sold cruises for years, but I say this because I know the kind of deals that good travel agents can get you, and I know the kind of assistance that they can be. So in my opinion, using a travel agent, there's almost no downside as long as you do have a good cruise travel agent, somebody who is specialized in selling cruises, but oftentimes they are going to get you a better rate and give you some extra amenities as well. Avoid these 2 cruises. So avoid the first and the last cruise of the season. Those are going to be the cruises. Now, they may be a little bit less expensive, so keep that in mind. But those are going to be the cruises where more might happen to really have a little bit of an off cruise. So the first cruise of that season, everything is sort of trial and error for the crew. The excursions, they're just not that well organized. The crew, both on the ship as well as when you do get off in port, it really is something new for everyone. The dining, we've spoken to crew who have told us that when it comes to dining, they actually have different dining preferences from one itinerary to another. So they have to get used to the habits of these new cruise passengers that are going to eat at different times, that are going to have different preferences in terms of meals. So there's a lot in that first cruise of the season that is going to be, well, a little bit of an experiment or a little bit off. And then the last cruise of the season, honestly, they are finishing up. They are done. They're mentally a little bit checked out and they're getting prepared for the next one. So it is something to know when you do book these cruises. Now I'm going to leave all of the information about the Ultimate Cruise Planner linked down below in this video. I would love to hear from you. Please let me know any of the cruise tips that might be a little bit unconventional, but that you swear by. Please let me know down in the comments below. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.